Welcome to the Economic Empowerment Podcast, where we break down the pathways to financial growth, investment opportunities, and building generational wealth. I'm your host, Ramel Lee, and I'm thrilled to take you on this journey beyond business into a world of possibilities that many don't have the access to see. Each episode, we deep dive into topics like alternative investments, real estate, hotel ownership, and much more, bringing you expert insights, inspirational stories, and actionable advice to help you take control of your financial future. Whether you're an experienced investor or just starting to explore new opportunities, this podcast is here to empower you with knowledge and tools to make informed decisions. But before we get started, I want to remind you, this podcast is for informational purposes only. The content discussed here is not financial advice. Every investment decision carries risk, and it's crucial to do your own research and consult with your personal financial advisor before taking action. Now, let's dive in and explore the exciting world of economic empowerment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Economic Empowerment Podcast. I'm Ramel Lee, and I'm here with the unicorn, the Black unicorn, Daymain Smith, founder of Synergy Hospitality Group. So, Daymain, tell the people a little about yourself.
Well, first of all, Ramel, thank you so much for having me, man. I'm always excited when people and colleagues that become friends invite me to do stuff because I love talking about this subject matter, which is hospitality. But so a little bit about me. I own a company called Synergy Hospitality Group. It's one of the three companies that I own, but this is my passion. This is my baby. With Synergy, we are one of a handful of third-party management companies that are Black-owned in the United States. To my knowledge, I think I'm one of two that operate for other people. So I think that what really and truly what we do and where I come from, I think it's, I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama. And Synergy has been a part of my life since I was about 16, and I didn't even know it when I started my career off as a bellman and a dishwasher in the hospitality industry. And my career and my life is outside of my military experience and my collegiate aspirations and foundations. I think that all those things have kind of culminated into this little bouquet, I would say, of a life and a passion that I just love it. I love what I do, man. And I say, if you love what you do, you'll do it for free. And I did it for free and I loved it and I got paid to do it. Now I get paid to do it. And I love it. I love interacting with people. But also I think we have a niche or a niche, as they say, because I love to work with first time hoteliers, hotel owners and investors, primarily people of color. I'm not limited to people of color, but I think that we are a very underserved metric, and we have such a small footprint that there's not a lot of white glove service that's geared towards us. So I try to be that person to bridge that gap and someone that can speak the language and translate it for us and people that are not coming from the hospitality space that want to invest in it.
I mean, that's great, and that's an amazing story. Like to go from, like the service staff to managing the entire properties to also being a hotel owner yourself, is amazing. So we're here educating people on hotel ownership and investment. Can you explain what a hotel property management company does and how it differs from hotel ownership?
Yeah. So the thing about what a mentor of mine and a colleague, a longtime friend, once told me in a very colorful way. He said, if an owner is the head, then the management company is the neck. It's a marriage, and what we do as a third-party management company, as your property management company, is we are the filtration system of all the things that happen on your property. We give you like the extract. We give you the absolute best end product, and that's our goal. We handle everything. We in the pre-purchase or pre-acquisition process, we will work with you on creating operation-based budgets. We will work with you on site selection. I go to about 15 sites a month for people and just say, hey, look, thumbs up, thumbs down. This is what we're doing. This is I don't recommend it. And even what one of the things that I tell people is I give you I have a yes or no kind of system factoring, and I'll say, you know what, if you want to do it, that's great, but I would not want to manage it for you. And it's not because of the money, but it's because of the I don't think it's a great deal sometimes, and and I want people to I want you to be successful, and I think we fit a very interesting space. We fill a very interesting space because what we actually do is we take and create your reporting, and we take care of the employees, and we create SOPs and metrics, and we want to give you and deliver the service and training and all of that. Everything that comes with that you experience in a hotel is the management company philosophy that's agreed upon by ownership and management. So yes, ownership has the final say on things, but generally ownership, depending on how involved owners want to be, or some want to be very, very involved, some want to be less involved, some want to, have their 2 calls a month, and some I talk to probably every other day. I think that's kind of the beauty of it is we tailor ourselves and to how we communicate with ownership and interact to the specific owners.
That's great. So you definitely don't have a cookie cutter approach. And
No,
that's very important.
with hotels, you can't, man. I mean,
Well, we
I,
both know there are some companies that do have a cookie cutter approach to hotel property management. So
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
so don't sell yourself short. That is a great quality to have in your company. Um, so why do you feel it's important for hotel investors to partner with a property management company?
Um, you know, like I said, I mean, and we've spoken. You know a little bit about me. I'm a country boy, man. So I share a lot of old folks' wisdom. So why it's important is my grandpa used to say, you don't know what you don't know, and that's why you need a team. And we are that component of that team that rounds you out. You can go to a Super Bowl, you can get to the Super Bowl with a strong offense or a strong defense, but you can't win a Super Bowl without having both of those things clicking and optimized and operating at a high level. And we try to round it out for you, and that's why it's important. I think it's a lot of the time, most of the time, and I am very unique because there are not a lot of people that come from hospitality that get into ownership in hospitality. A lot of time there are people that come from multifamily or they were in commercial, and they were kind of doing class A, class B commercial, and they're just investors. They're money guys and girls, and they want to come and, oh well, a friend of mine said I should diversify my portfolio and get a hotel. And they get into it and they start talking to people, and they don't understand the language, and they don't understand some of the reports that they're reading. So the importance to me is that we give you a dynamic that makes you an instantly qualified to be in those rooms, because we're going to speak for you in those positions when you cannot, and we're going to advise you along the way in the acquisition, post acquisition, and throughout the life cycle of that asset.
That's great. And that's one of the things I always say. You don't know what you don't know, and it's imperative to surround yourself with people that their strengths are your weaknesses, right?
Yes.
Because no one's strong at everything.
No.
So what would you say are the day-to-day responsibilities that your team handles to ensure a hotel runs efficiently?
So on a day-to-day basis, what some of the things we do, we deploy a revenue management strategy. We look at rates multiple times throughout the day, from a 30,000 foot level, my point of view. We are talking to engaging the general manager and the staff, sometimes daily, depending on the complexity of the property or the oversimplification. Bigger hotels need less talking to on a regular basis because they got more people, they have more moving pieces and they have more soldiers. The smaller properties are very intimate, but they're generally very efficient. Those properties are going to have smaller staffing models. So we want to keep those general managers engaged and we want to be able to tell the signs of atrophy and burnout before they happen and start and looking at those signs. But on a daily basis, I mean, revenue management, we have a sales strategy, sales deployment strategy. We just hired our second regional vice president of sales and marketing. So we're doing portfolio based shared services so that you get everything from accounting, revenue management, and these are things we touch on every day. And then it's the intangibles as well. So stuff you don't see, like making sure your taxes are paid, making sure we're collecting, making sure we're looking at the revenue from the previous day and catching any issues or one-offs. There's a lot of analysis and reporting, but there's also a lot of human time because there's just certain things that a computer or AI just can't do for you. AI and computers just can't interpret the information. It can collect the information, it can regurgitate it. So you need a human being with experience that can look at these reports and look at this information from different areas and say, okay, this is what the problem is. Go to the property, go to the site, and start working on the solution with the team, that local team in that region, and to make it better. So we are think about it like daily housekeeping. Every day you want your pillows fluffed, and you want your bed made and new sheets and all that stuff. And that's what we do. We do the daily housekeeping so that owners can continue to go and grow their portfolios, fundraise and grow the empire, while the empire continues to we make sure that the empire continues to flourish, the troops are fed, and that we're getting and retaining the resources that we need in order to make sure that there's money being made and we don't come up short.
That's great. Like, in especially when you're an investor, your plan isn't to run the day to day. So it's important to have a team that handles those responsibilities. Have you ever stayed in a hotel and thought, what if I owned this? What if you could move from being a guest to being an owner? Hi, I'm Ramel Lee, managing partner of RDL Hotel Fund 1. We've created a unique opportunity for people like you to invest in hotel ownership, an asset class once reserved for the wealthy elite. Hotels, especially economy extended stay properties, are resilient and generate cash flow even during economic downturns. With as little as $10,000, you can join our movement to democratize wealth and create opportunities for your future. This is your chance to build generational wealth. Don't just stay in hotels, own them. Visit us at www.rdleecp.com to learn more and take your first step today.
Yeah.
So what should an investor look for when selecting a property management company, and what red flags should they also be on the lookout for?
I think one of the things, and you probably heard me say this at a different forum, I do a lot of speaking as well, but I think your values have to align. with the leadership of the management company. Um, there are companies that will wine and dine you. They'll fly you out to their their nice big 3 level corporate offices, and they'll just to get you to sign on the dotted line, and that's the best Coca-Cola you ever, the coldest Coca-Cola you ever gonna drink. You know, it's at the perfect temperature. I don't know how they do it. I still haven't perfected the perfect Coca-Cola, but I tell you what, a lot of the time once you sign those agreements, um, you become a number on a spreadsheet, and you want intimacy, especially if you're new in this space. You want, a lot of times the assets that we go after, the asset classes and the asset types of assets that we go after as people of color in this space probably are more economical at times, more so than, so they're not in high barrier to entry markets. So we're not going for the $21 million property that's in um, Harbor East in Baltimore. We're probably going for the $4 million property that's in Albany, Georgia. So, and we're going to convert it from a quality to a spark, or a roadway in a box to a spark, or something like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think that as what you want in a management company is somebody that can pivot with you and that can grow with you, and that has that reach and that bandwidth to continue to grow with you. I think the alignment makes and breaks the relationship, and you have to be able to talk and speak openly with one another. There can't be fear in the discussion between ownership and the ownership and leadership of the management company. There can never There has to be a partnership. There can never be a dividing line of, well, I'm the owner and I think this. Well, I'm your advisor, brother. I want you to win. So if the hotel doesn't make money, I don't make money. Like we make money off the same thing here. So um,
Right.
and I want that. So that's something to look for. I think the things to look out for is when, like I said earlier, gave mention to earlier, is when you become is a number on a spreadsheet, and that performance starts to fail, and you can't get people on the phone. People don't respond. Like I have clients that text me. I'm a big texter, but I'm available. I want to be available because the brand. I'm not representing somebody's management company. I'm representing the brand is my brand. This is how I feed my family. So I have a different level of connectivity. And I think that the failure sometimes is when um, we get into these relationships, and I was a victim of it too. We get into these relationships with these bigger companies, and they don't know what it took you to get there. As a African American or a Latin ex man or woman, they don't know what you had to do in order to make this project happen. They're just like, oh well, we got Hilton Garden Inn, huh, we got 50 of those. Like, yeah, we know how to run it. And there is kind of like, yeah, they know how to run it, but this is your first Hilton Garden Inn. You want somebody to talk about it. This is your baby. You want somebody to talk about it with a little bit more respect, and and not treat it as if it's just a casual interaction. I think that anytime people kind of yeah you, and I think you're a New Yorker, so yeah, that's kind of we do sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, and when anybody starts to yeah me, I stop. The communication negotiation generally starts to slow down really really fast for me, because I'm a Southerner. I'm gonna talk a little bit slower, but I ain't gonna let you yeah me, because my money on the table, not yours. So
So you mentioned alignment, right?
yeah.
How do you manage the relationship between hotel owners and your management team to ensure alignment on goals and expectations?
So I'm a part of 99.9% of those discussions too, because nobody else on my team. Well, my wife is my business partner, so so
Smart man.
nobody else. Huh?
I said smart man.
Yeah. I mean, and she's probably one of the smartest women I know. And that's no cap. Like, she really is. She's a dynamo. But I think how you get there is, um, you have to ensure that the relationship works, you have to say, and you have to know that that alignment is there. Like, you know, if me and Ramel are sitting down having a beer, and you're the hotel owner and I'm the hotel manager, my team has to put together a plan, and we present that plan, a proposal, basically. We're presenting proposals at every quarter and iteration of a year, and then for the next year planning. So we want that buy-in from ownership that, hey, we think that this is the right strategy. Take a look at this. Don't just breeze over it. Tell me what you think. And in a moment of honesty and a moment of truth, I've had people come to me and say, you know what, I don't understand the complexity of which you wrote this. And I love that, because that vulnerability helps me to slow down and go into it layer by layer, line by line, and really give some more, a little bit more robust um, points, final points of it, and just talk through it. Because if you walk away and you say that's your strategy, synergy, as you know, hotel owner, that's their strategy, and we knock it out the park, it's your strategy to all of your investors. If you, if you, but on the flip side of that, if you say that's their strategy and we poop the bed, you're going to be like, I can't believe that they did this. And, you know, what were they thinking? We have to have that alignment, because
Right.
if you don't believe in it and I believe in it, then you can't have, a pastor says, you know, fear and faith can't live in the same human. You know, you can't have a mind, a dual mind. You know, I can't have fear that it's not going to work, or not believe that it's not going to work and not be aligned with you, because if that happens, we're going to fail. It's the kiss of death.
COVID really kind of gave everyone a different mindset on how do property management companies adapt to market shifts and in economic downturns to maintain profitability.
So we do something. So some companies, every company kind of approaches it in a certain way. What we do is we try to start the way we want to finish, which is, you know, we do something called right size staffing. We try to figure out how lean we can operate from day one. And if we start making goo gobs of money, then we can add people. But the hardest thing to do is that, you know, to scale that business, so that I need one more desk clerk, I need two more housekeepers. You know, you can scale up, but it's hard to scale down. So figuring out what that lowest common denominator before we even get into the relationship of what that staffing model looks like, what those expenses, what that expense model looks like, because you know, you're in a, so, and I'll talk about just us as investors. I'll take my hospitality management hat, property management hat off, and I'll put my investor hat on. So investors, we're always looking at, especially when you're in the principal or the GP position. Okay, well, you have underwriting done. Underwriting is great. There's some really smart people that do underwriting, but most of those people are not hotel operators. So what I do is I write you a real budget. And when I write that budget takes in consideration the market conditions, but I am writing it so conservative that I want you to see what your debt service and how that flow looks at the lowest common denominator, and how we can add to and add value to it along the way. Um, and by doing that, what we do is we essentially, you know, like economic downturns, they happen. I have marked, you know, as a professional in my career, I've had hotels that had 200% RevPAR, you know, in one year in 2018, and then they turn around and they're negative. They're like 98, 79% RevPAR index. These hotels are, I mean, the markets just turn and like just dump all the trash out on the floor. And what I found is that you can downsize, cut, but the debt service is going to be the debt service. So, you know, sometimes you have to shift out of an asset. And that's also a recommendation that I make to people. I say, hey, look, you know, I think we're at the end of the life cycle of this one, because we've made all the money we can make. You know, we've pirated as much as we've gotten as much gold out of this mine as we can get. So you know, let's jump out the plane, let's jump off the boat and take these and swim to shore, you know.
No, I completely understand. I completely understand that. You have you have to know, that just as important it is knowing when and where to get in, you need to know when and where to get out.
So to add to that, and a lot of your listeners or some of them may have. I'm a big Stephen Covey fan. And Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. The first habit is begin with the end in mind, and that is the rule of thumb for this particular type of asset class in real estate and in commercial real estate. With a hotel, you have to begin with the end in mind. You have to look at the future and say, what is this market going to do? Because a market analysis or a market survey is only going to give you what the history has been, what the trends in the past history have been, how the market is shaping up. Your management company has to go in and we have to look at, okay, we have the history, but what is the market telling us what's coming up? Let's get in contact with the city council. Let's see what kind of infrastructure projects are coming in. Let's see what companies are coming into the market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So our job is really to kind of figure out where the money will come from in the future. Market analysis really establishes where the money has come from in the past.
No, that's great insight there. Great insight. So I'm sure you're not doing all of this with pen and paper. What role does technology play in modern hotel management, and how do you leverage it to improve operations, guest experience, revenue?
Um, you know, so I really wish I could say that we just have that we make it all up, and that's and that's that. But what the truth is that a lot of these brands have some really amazing software that you get as once you sign on the dotted line. Grow, which is the Hilton revenue management platform, is a platform and a piece of software that it was from the moment I worked with it back when I was a regional VP and VP of Ops back in the day and GM. I fell in love with it because the intuitiveness was just all. It was like it almost was predictive if you were feeding it the right information. So we use so many tools, like we create tools. I have, cash flow analysis, which our accounting team does a weekly, daily and weekly cash flow analysis. And we do a 46, 30, 60, 90-day forecast of cash flow based off of market trends. So some of this stuff is technology that we have procured, and some of it is technology that just as old dogs that have done this for a long time that we've kind of you know the word probably the most we've appropriated along the the lifetime of being in the hospitality industry from other companies, and we created our own tools. But I have programs and tools that we use to kind of predict what staffing looks like, and what pay increases look like, and how that affects your bottom line. And we right now I'm talking to a company that does like an energy management right sizing. So they kind of work as a consultant to kind of negotiate your power, electric, and gas for you. So looking at just alternatives. What technology is great, but the person, and this is kind of, again, I'm a Southern guy, I'm a country guy, a country boy. The person behind, you're only as effective as the person behind the technology, because the weapon is just an inanimate object until you pick it up, until you've been trained in how to use it. So we push our team to always be at the cutting edge of learning stuff, being the first ones to learn it, being the first, and we talk about it internally. We'll have a scheduled meeting for an hour and it turns into a 2-hour meeting because I'm like a kid in a candy store sometimes. I'm neurodivergent, so my ADHD just kind of goes all over the place when we start talking about programs and stuff. So I want to learn as much as I can, so that when we talk to owners and partners and investors, we're talking to them from a place of um, of full understanding, and we're able to advise you that this is going to help you grow, or it's not really something that we want to utilize because the information hasn't been fine tuned yet.
That's that very very profound, right? You can have all the tech in the world, but if the operator isn't good, or you have garbage data going in, you're going to get garbage results coming out.
Yeah. And as an owner of any company, you can't be removed from, you can hire the best people in the world, but you got to be present and look at, inspect what you expect. So I put my finger in a lot of stuff, and my team, they've just gotten accustomed to it. And a lot of my team, I've worked with these people for years. Most of the people on I don't have a person on my team that I haven't known or worked with or at some iteration of my career for 10, 15 years minimum. So these people, they're not just my employees; these are my family members, man. I mean, we spend a lot of time together, and you bring them over to the house, and we hang out, and I love my team, and when even when they say, hey, we need more money, okay, I'd rather pay them more money and take less money personally, so that I can keep somebody, because I don't ever want to be in a situation that I lose a star player, even though it happens.
Hmm. Yeah. So what are some of the biggest challenges property management companies face, and how do you overcome them to deliver consistent results?
Um, a sore spot for me is, um, and and again, I think sometimes as you get older, when I was in my 20s, I didn't look at, I used to look at older people and be like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. I think this new generation has posed a completely different dynamic that I've never seen as a professional. Um, there is a lot of loose attachment to employment, and COVID made employment and wages just it changed the world. It changed our world. It changed America's economy, because your margins shifted drastically. Um, I think that where everybody's expecting to make $15, and they're in Macon, Georgia, and they want to make, in Atlanta they're making 15 $18 as a front desk agent, and Macon, Georgia, which is a tertiary market, they want to make 15 $18 as a front desk agent, and cost of living, living wage adjustments and all that stuff. I think that makes it very difficult, and I think that I spend a lot of time with my team. I spend a lot of time procuring information and reading books that I can give to my team to help us bridge the generational gap. I have two young sons. I have a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old, and I talk to them a lot because they are the workforce. They are the next iteration of my workforce. So I think that's one of the challenges. I think that travel, corporate travel, and government travel, and travel has shifted because of technology. COVID taught us that we didn't have to go outside. We can have these meetings just like me and you were having this one right here,
Mhm.
and we saw some shifts. I think post COVID, as we were coming out of COVID, we had a lot of um, pent up travel. I forget what the phrasing that they use, but there was like a pent up need or desire to travel. I think that's kind of dissipated, and people like you and me, and our age group, are starting to focus in now on on the economy and the effects of the economy. I mean, I'm 45. I'm thinking about retirement more than I've ever thought about retirement in my life. And how does that look, and how do we work with people now, talking through like 401k? So the complexities of what we do, and market saturation. So the brands are not, and this is an opinion. I mean, this is my opinion as an operator. The brands are generally not helping sometimes because they will oversaturate a market with their product. And now you have different brands of the same, different models of the same brand cannibalizing one another for market share. And so now you have too much inventory. You have max out over super max inventory in markets. So I think there's a lot of overbuilding. And I think this, in some markets, and I think that's where we're seeing a lot of lag and a lot of uh, financials go south when it comes down to certain hotels and certain types of hotels and certain brands of hotels.
So, so for someone new to hotel investing, what advice would you give them regarding working with a property management company to maximize their investment?
Um, the first thing I would say is check the track record. It's not just the people that recommend them, but they should be able to quantifiably pull out some redacted reporting and be able to show you how their portfolios perform in different markets. I think that when you're looking for a property management company, obviously, I want that alignment, like I said earlier. You want to like the person that you're talking to, not just as a salesperson, but like you have to really like and understand the person and how they work, and we have to understand you and how you work and what your desired result is. I think another big part of it is that when it comes down to selecting or finding a third party management company, um, find someone that's your speed, because sometimes we're in middle school track, but we want to run in the Olympics. And I think that there's a lot of learning that comes in between, a lot of learning and a lot of training and a lot of development, both muscular and mentally, that has to happen between middle school and making it to the Olympics. Um, I think that we have to always be cognizant as investors of who we are, where we are, what our product is, and be realistic and honest with ourselves, and find someone that is best suited to help us and optimize and grow that product. Um, if you say, "Hey D, I got this Renaissance hotel in in New York in downtown Manhattan, and I want you to run it," I'm going to be the first person to tell you, "Hey man, I don't think I'm ready for that." Like today, I'm just not. And I'm honest with myself. And I'm going to be honest with you, because what I look like trying to tell you that I can do it, and I go ahead and I poop the bed, and it's like, I don't know, big dog. My bad.
No,
My bad doesn't fit. You know what I'm saying? This isn't a my bad situation. I just
right.
lost $1 million. So I think that the management company has to be honest with themselves about what they can do and what their capacity is. But ownership has to be realistic and understand what their capacity is as well, and run with. Now you can grow with them with an ownership group, and we can grow into a place that we feel comfortable with each other. I feel like I can do this particular product, and boom, let's go get it. Let's go make it happen. But I think the real opportunity for investors would be, in my opinion, is that make sure you're being honest with yourself, and make sure the person that you're talking to that's representing that management company is being honest with you, and them and being honest with themselves. Um, you talk to me. We've talked several times. I'm kind of what you see is what you get with me, and I'm always going to be honest. That's kind of my mantra and what I live by. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to, if you drop a nickel, I'm gonna pick the nickel up, and I'm gonna say, hey man, here go your nickel. Um, you know.
No. That's important. And listen, I'm definitely on board with you. Um, the partnership between hotel investor, owner, and hotel management is key. Like it has to be a true partnership
Mhm.
for your hotel to be successful. Yep.
I'm gonna give you one more thing, and this is kind of my candid response. I know a lot of the guys that are heads of some of the companies that are out there and that I compete with, or that they I think I compete with sometimes. Um, and the truth of the matter is that some of those guys really do care. And I have two or three of them that I would actually recommend if you had a project that I didn't feel like I could do. Um, and that's the type of relationships I have. But I will also say that a lot of the times you get a salesperson, and they'll get, like I said, they'll wine and dine you, man. Don't fall for like they said in that movie with Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah.
You know that Coca Cola had you thinking something different, man. But don't fall for it, because once you sign that contract and you sign those HUD documents and you close on that hotel, that first 90 days, they're gonna be all, hey, how's it going, Ramel? How you doing, man? Good to talk to you. How's everything going with the property? 6 months out, that's gonna start. You're not gonna talk to that CEO. You're not gonna talk to the COO. You're not gonna talk to the CFO. You're gonna be talking to a regional VP, or you're gonna be talking to an area vice president, or somebody that's a regional manager. And then that drills down to, now you're kind of really, that person is your intermediary. With Synergy, I never want to be anything more than a boutique shop. 30 hotels, that's where I get off. I don't want to get bigger than that,
Right.
because I like the intimacy. I like to be able to say, hey, Ramel, what's going on, man? Where you going? You going to Alice this year? You're going to this conference this year? Let's hook up, man. Let's get the wives out. Let's go hang out. Because that's just how I've done business. That's how I grew up watching my grandfather do business, my dad and my uncles. And that's just how I love doing business. I don't, and that sounds real simplified. And I think I hear people tell me all the time, man, that's not realistic. If somebody offered you a portfolio of 50 hotels, you're taking. And I said, no, I wouldn't, because I lose that intimacy, because I can't touch everybody. I can't talk to everybody. I can't field all of those calls and those text messages. And I want to maintain that intimacy. So you want someone that wants to communicate, a management company that communicates with you the way that you want to be communicated with, is what I'm saying.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Black Unicorn himself, one of the very few Black-owned property management, hotel management companies in the United States, and just an overall great guy, Daymain Smith. Thank you so much for blessing us with your wisdom and your knowledge. And I know I appreciated the jewels you dropped here, and I'm sure my community will appreciate it as well.
Well, man, I wish you guys the best of luck. God bless you in your endeavors and your efforts, man. I just hope you guys go out and crush it. And if there's anything I can do for you and your team and your viewers and your investors, just let me know. I'm here.
Will do. Will do. Thanks.
All right,
All right,
brother.
everyone. That's economic empowerment for this week, and tune in next time.